So thank you so much for having me and for allowing me this great opportunity to be with you here today. Greetings from New Mexico, very sunny New Mexico. So I certainly wish I could be present with you in person, and want to really thank you for participating in today's Medical Education Grand Rounds in an effort to learn more about holistic review. So today we have a few objectives that we really want to provide an opportunity just to hear some unique approaches for increasing diversity in the admissions process. And this can also be used in GME and combined BAMD and different forms of selection process. And really to think differently about strategies to implement it at various stages of the admissions process. So we're going to think about data you may already have that may provide some insight into the student selection process, and then demonstrate some alignment with your school mission. So in 2011, the AAMC created a holistic review initiative in an effort to challenge conventional thinking and really assist schools in thinking more broadly about the admissions process and how we look at that. This initiative provides a flexible way to give balanced consideration to the experiences, attributes, and metrics that we receive, and really consider how the applicants can contribute value to the medical school class as well as to the field of medicine. So these are the 4 principles that are foundational to the holistic review process. So a broad selection criteria. This really allows schools to consider what characteristics align with their mission and diversity related goals. And then the inclusion of experiences and attributes along with the metrics allows us to take unique backgrounds into consideration and really look at the distance that the applicant has traveled to get to this point. So schools also can consider each applicant's potential contribution to medicine and the field of medicine, as well as to the school in general. And that allows them flexibility to weigh and balance the range of criteria needed in a class to really look at your institutional mission and goals. And then also race and ethnicity may be considered as factors when making admissions decisions. And this is really aligned with your educational goals and your mission, of course, and then looking under federal law and as permitted by state law. So the AAMC's Holistic Review Project was really about aligning our admissions policies and processes with our institution specific goals. So everything that we do in our medical school, we kind of look and say, does this align with our mission? And then really establishing a need for sustained medical school diversification of the physician workforce. And we build that into our mission as well. And we also look at the LCME standards for accreditation. So standard 3.3, diversity pipeline programs. This standard actually says that we have to engage in ongoing systematic focused recruitment and retention activities, and then really looking at the diversification of the physician workforce. And the AAMC just came out with a new strategic plan, which is plan number 4, that's run by Jeff Young. And that is really to diversify the physician workforce. So there's going to be many new initiatives by the AAMC to help us with this standard and to move us forward as a AAMC group and medical school. So I'm going to kind of go over some ways that we incorporate holistic review. And I look from our admissions criteria all the way from outreach to recruiting. So I'm going to just show some examples on what we do and then provide you with some of the outcomes that we have. So this is the School of Medicine mission, and we actually have our mission on the big screen at the beginning of each of our admissions committee members as we discuss applicants. And this serves as our guide to see, does this applicant fit our mission, and how are we looking at applicants individually and as a flexibility to determine if they fit our school and if they're going to be successful in our program. So one of the outreach programs that we have available to our school is the combined BAMD program. So we actually reserve 28 spots for our entering class, for these students every year. So the program accepts 2/3 of the entering class from rural backgrounds. So that's a state mandate. And since I co-chair both the School of Medicine and the combined BAMD programs, we mirror the holistic review process in the combined BAMD program as well. So in 2020, the combined BAMD program, the entering class was 64% of our matriculants were actually from underrepresented in minority groups. We also have an outreach program that we call PrEP. So it's the Premedical Enrichment program. And basically the program goals are to provide a means for educationally or socially economically disadvantaged students across the state of New Mexico to really pursue those careers as a physician in our School of Medicine. And so we prepare students accepted into the program for success in medical school. We reserve 7 spots every year for these students. So these students go through the regular application process, and then as they're being interviewed by the committee members and discussed in our admissions committee meetings, our committee members actually recommend students for the PrEP program. And then we have a special PrEP committee on admissions that actually looks at these applicants further and looks at their educationally disadvantaged status, because these students have to be educationally disadvantaged to participate in this program. So it's not an MCAT PrEP program, but our program allows for students to have 1 year of it's a intensive biochemistry course, so 445 in the fall semester and 446 in the spring semester, just to provide them with additional support and knowledge and background in the sciences. And then we also have additional courses that we have them take, like critical thinking, communication skills, clinical reasoning. So we have a variety of different courses as well, but this serves as one of our outreach programs for admissions. And this is how we help to look holistically at applicants in selecting people who have low socioeconomic status, they're first-generation college students. English is many times their second language. Many times they come from a single-parent household. They're a migrant farm worker, they come from rural backgrounds, or they're in an urban underserved background or area and upbringing. So these students really need that additional support to be successful in medical school. And then another outreach program that we have is the Premedical Admissions Workshop. So this is the Four Corner we call it the Four Corners Medicine Alliance Group. So this is a recruitment effort, but it's also an outreach effort, because the medical schools at the University of Arizona, so that was Phoenix and Tucson, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah, we all identified a collective need to increase student diversity, specifically amongst our American Indian, Alaskan Native applicants. So the 5 schools partnered with the Association of American Indian Physicians, so AAIP, to recruit pre-med students. So from 2011 to 2021 to current, these 5 schools, we have a designated and we rotate an annual 2-day PAW workshop. And this is really to recruit these students, this group of students. And this has actually been successful, and I'll talk about some of the results of this later in the presentation. And then in the screening process, one of the things that we do is, since we're a state-funded public institution, we have to take New Mexico residents, but we do allow New Mexico high school graduates who have gone to school, either undergraduate or graduate school out of state, to be considered for admissions as well. So as long as they graduated from New Mexico high school. And then in an effort to cast a broader net for our underrepresented in medicine groups, we also consider American Indian, Alaskan Natives who are from a U.S. federally recognized tribe. So this allows us to expand our consideration of this certain population. And then we also have a residency appeals process in place, whereby applicants who have strong ties to our state can also appeal to be considered as a New Mexico resident. So in the interviewing stage, we have a secondary application, and we actually target and have specific questions regarding New Mexico healthcare issues. So we want to make sure that the applicants are going to serve our mission and really improve the health of all New Mexicans. So this allows us to incorporate healthcare issues and really see these applicants and what they bring to the field of medicine and to our medical school. And so applicants are blinded, or our committee members, our interviewers are blinded to the metrics at the point of interviews. So we do have minimum MCAT and GPA cutoffs. And so once the applicants meet that minimum criteria, then their interviewers just learn everything else about the applicant. So I actually put up the AAMC's experiences, attributes, and metrics model here. So the middle section is the metrics here, the MCAT, GPA, and academic coursework. So at the point of interview, again, they're blinded to that, and they're also blinded to the applicant photos, because some research shows that there's some unconscious bias regarding the applicant photos. And then our interviewers, our interviewers, so basically they're just looking at all the other things in the application, right? The experiences and attributes. So they do have access to the AMCAS application, to the personal statement, to the secondary application responses to our questions, and then they have access to the letters recommendation. So we look kind of non-cognitively at the point of interview, and we look at background and diversity. We look at interest and suitability for a career in medicine. We look for problem solving and communication skills, which is kind of a challenge now during virtual interviews, but nevertheless, we still see some of those communication skills. And then we look at overall mission suitability. So this is how we incorporate holistic review in the interview stage of our application. And then in the selecting stage, holistic review is actually factored into each committee member's rank score. So all committee members will rank an applicant. They review the entire application, so they have access to both the interview evaluations and write-ups. And then that's when we introduce the metrics again. And so they have access to all the metrics in the application. And then they give a final rank score, and those rank scores are all they're all added up and divided, so we actually have a good rank score for each committee member. But also we have a very diverse admissions committee, so we have about 40 admissions committee members annually on our committee, and they consist of school of medicine faculty. We have medical students who are elected by their peers to be part of the committee. And then we have community physicians who really want boots on the ground in their communities. So we get feedback for all our different stakeholders in our admissions committee. And prior to every admissions committee cycle, we have tie-breaking criteria. So, and we've kind of had this tie-breaking criteria for many years, and it's pretty, it's almost identical every year, but basically we have many applicants who have exactly the same score at the time that we're going to select applicants. So we can have as many as 5 or 6 applicants with the exact same rank score. And so the first tie-breaking criteria, if they self-identified as American Indian, then they're going to go to the top of the list, because we certainly are trying to recruit this group of applicants. And then also applicants who come from a rural or underserved status, they get second criteria. And then the committee wanted the smallest standard deviation, so closer to the mean, they get that's the third ranking criteria. And then if they apply to us early decision and made that commitment to us, then that's kind of our tie-breaking criteria that we utilize. So we also use holistic review in our recruitment stage. So we have a Center for Native American Health office, and they meet individually with each American Indian Alaska Native applicant that we get. And they introduce themselves and talk about the resources and support for our Health Science Center students at each of our interview stages. And then all American Indian Alaska Native applicants meet with our current students and they get a tour of the HSC campus, as well as we have our own Health Science Center, American Indian Alaska Native Student Center. So they all have badge access, and they have access to computers and printers, lots of different material. They have a fridge in there and a sofa, so they take their lunch and they meet in there. So that's just an additional resource and support that we offer. And then we also have full scholarships designated for American Indian Alaska Native students. So these are scholarships, many of them are endowed scholarships, but this is one thing that we use for recruitment as well. So throughout the year, we have data, training, and resources for our admissions committee. So one of the things that we do is we have our annual location report. So we have an entering class update that we provide. What does the class look like? In our location report, we provide information about where our graduates are practicing. And so that's always an important question for our admissions committee. Will they practice here? Of course, you never know, but our location report helps us to see where our graduates actually practice. And then we have information and data from our curriculum committee about what types of support they have for the students. We also have a member of the curriculum committee that serves on our admissions committee. So they are able to provide us with any kind of updates or, what's coming, what changes in the curriculum happen. We also provide training. So we have new committee orientation training. And so we give a holistic review introduction. We have unconscious bias training for our entire admissions committee. And this is annually. So one of the things that we learned is letters of recommendation have been repeatedly shown to be to have gender language that creates bias. So we know that from our different applicant pools, white applicants are more likely to be described using ability keywords. And those are like exceptional, best, outstanding. And then we know that our Black applicants were more likely to be described as competent. And then female applicants more likely are described using words such as caring, compassionate, and empathetic. And the reason we provide this training because we want admissions committee members to know up front, about unconscious bias and then how to mitigate that throughout the process. And as we were going through the application process and discussing applicants, these issues constantly come up before our committee. So we talk about, what about that letter? And, and then we have to, committee members remind each other that, these letters, we have to think about, who they're written for. And many times we see, these types of keywords used throughout. So we also provide our committee members with different resources that we have at the School of Medicine so that during the course of selecting and considering applicants, we know what kind of resources we have to support our students. So we have this program called Applied Cognition in Medical Sciences program, and it really focuses on enhancing student abilities throughout medical school. So this program is under the Office of Medical Student Affairs, and they work with students throughout the year. So they meet with every student as they come in the door, and they try to assess what the student needs. And throughout the year, they have a variety of different workshops, providing problem-solving skills and USMLE Step 1 exam prep. So they teach study habits, learning strategies, test-taking strategies, testing anxiety, time management. So a lot of different resources that we provide. We also have an Office of Professional Wellness. And this office also provides a variety of different resources and support for our students throughout medical school. And then we provide them with some different clinical experiences that they're going to be seeing from our applicants. For example, we have this program in Albuquerque. It's called Casa de Salud, and it's a clinical experience that applicants can go to and get clinical experience. But this program requires a 1-year time commitment. and usually their population is Spanish speaking only. And so the director of the program won't even write a letter of recommendation until the applicant or the volunteer completes that 1 year of service. So we just really highlight some of these important resources and talk about what these experiences are and how much of a time commitment applicants have. So when we see an applicant come in and they have that letter of recommendation from Casa de Salud, we know that the applicant definitely has made a commitment to serve this underserved community. This is an annual report that I publish annually. And so basically, this report provides data to our admissions committee on the current applicant pool, the entering class, and I always have 10 years worth of longitudinal data. And this allows us to track trends in our applicants, our entering classes, and really provides tables and graphs of all the data that we have. So we slice and dice the data about regions, about ethnicity, gender, and we're looking at all different ways that we can see our applicant pool, our entering class, and then the longitudinal data helps us identify, you know, how we've been doing and where we're going with our applicant pool. So this is one of the tables I pulled from our annual report. And this table shows our state by county population according to the US Census Bureau. And this allows us to see how many applicants actually interviewed, accepted, and matriculated from these various counties. And we know, you know, the population of those counties. And so during the admissions committee, I'm able to provide data to the committee on how many applicants applied from their respective counties. And then we can attempt to be more inclusive in our geographic representation of the state. We also have another table that's broken down by New Mexico Public Health District. So I also provide the same extensive report for the combined BAMD program, which also includes data on where the students matched and did their residency. So this data shows our entering classes for the past 2 years, and it's based on race and ethnicity. So we consider the Vietnamese population in our underrepresented numbers because they have a large population regionally, and this specific group is underrepresented in medicine in our state. So our university hospital has 24-hour translation services in Spanish, in Navajo, and in Vietnamese. And so in 2020, we had approximately 50% of our entering class was underrepresented in minority or in medicine. And in 2021, we had 47.6%. So the University of New Mexico ranked number 5 in most diverse medical schools in 2021. This data is a snapshot of all our UNM-trained MDs practicing in New Mexico counties. And so as you can see, Bernalillo County, the one in red, we're the most urbanized, which is where Albuquerque is located. And this is we only have one medical school in the state. And this has the largest number of UNM MDs practicing than anywhere else in the state with 1,425. And we know that 44% of our UNM MDs trained MDs are practicing in Mexico are in primary care specialties, which we consider family medicine, internal medicine, OB-GYN, and peds. So this is the medical residency. This is the retention of UNM-trained physicians in our state. So we know that if somebody did their MD only, they're 22.3% practice rate in New Mexico. If they did their residency, medical residency only, then they're 20%. That's our retention rate, 20%. But if they did their MD and their medical residency, then they're 53.9% retention rate or likely to practice. This is actual practice rates in the state of New Mexico. And this is our retention rate of our BAMD UNM-trained physicians. So as you could see, they did their BAMD only, they're 33% likely, or they're 33% going to be practicing in our state. And then if they did both their BAMD and medical residency here, then that shoots up to 73%. So this is something that we want to know, because we want to know, who is actually remaining and practicing in our state. So the BAMD students, I actually co-authored a study that we recently published in the Journal of Family Medicine. And really we sought to evaluate whether the UNM combined BAMD program increases the likelihood that students would practice or match into family medicine. And so this kind of shows that our UNM BAMD students were twice as likely to match their match rate at graduation into family medicine than our other regular non-BAMD group of students. And then I talked about the pre-admissions workshop that we do with the American Indian, the Association of American Indian Physicians. And so this is some of the program outcomes. So in 2006, when the program was hosted at our university, I got IRB approval and we did a study. So this was in 2016, at the time of the research study, we had 130 American Indian Alaskan Native students that had participated in our PAW workshop. So we knew at that time, based on AAMC data, that 127 applicants applied to all medical schools. This was across the country, American Indian, Alaskan Native students. Well, 20% of those applied to our schools, to the Four Corners schools. So this was a record breaking. And at the time, Tara Cunningham, she was part of the University of Phoenix Medical School and was actually part of this program. But really, this program has been successful, and we continued with this program. Of course, the last 2 years we've gone virtual with this, but we've really continued with this program. And here are some additional outcomes. So according to our survey data in 2016, at the time, the interview preparation and the individual consultation and the writing workshop, they were ranked the top 3 most beneficial workshop sessions or activities for this group of students. And we really, with the interview preparation, the different groups, the different medical schools, we actually have admissions officers from each group, and they talk about how to prepare for the medical school interview. And then we had individual consultations from all the deans of the schools. So they met individually with each of these participants to go over their application and give them some feedback about how they can improve their application. And then we also had a writing workshop every year, and the writing workshop provides them an opportunity to really highlight their personal statement and integrate their story into the personal statement as well. Another thing that we found is that the greatest medical school application challenges for these participants, number 1 was the MCAT. At 33% indicated the MCAT was their biggest challenge. And then 25% indicated that the GPA was their next biggest challenge, followed by the personal statement and the interview, and only 1% indicated that finances were a challenge for them. So we thought this program outcomes and information was very valuable for us to move forward as a Four Corners group and individually as a School of Medicine as well. So one of the resources that we provide at our medical school is the cleansing ceremony of the gross anatomy lab. So Navajo students from families that still retain traditional practices find it disturbing to handle cadavers in the gross anatomy lab. So it is said that the spirits are present near the bodies and that evil or negative part of the person stays with the body. So some will also have a difficulty being in places where death resides. And so, clearly this situation raises difficulties for the student and the instructor, as well as for the medical school. So how does the student continue with their training without violating the beliefs of their culture? And so this is one way that actually our students struggled with, and we found a way to bring in the elders from one of the local tribes to really conduct this cleansing ceremony and purification of the gross anatomy lab for students. And this also provides them with the sense of belonging and inclusivity, you know, in our medical school. One of our medical students in this photo leads the Oath of Geneva in Navajo during one of our convocation ceremonies. So, and all of our Navajo students join in, and UNM actually translated the Oath of Geneva in Navajo and posted in the World Medical Association. It was where it was accepted. So these are some of our results. So our Center for Native American Health, they support Native students currently enrolled in health-related degrees at the UNM Health Sciences Center by providing individual support, mentorship, related services, and upon graduation, CENA hosts a special graduation ceremony every year and provides a Pendleton blanket for each graduate. And at this graduation ceremony, you know, they have the native drums, they have, you know, they take a professional photograph for each student, and they really have a special program set up for all these students. One of the things that they do, and we currently have 23 Indian tribes located in New Mexico. So 19 of those are Pueblos and 3 are Apache tribes. And of course, the Navajo Nation, which is the largest tribe in the United States, and it covers 4 states. So it covers Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. And each tribe is a sovereign nation with its own government, lifeways, traditions, and cultures. So we invite each tribe or nation to the graduation ceremony to welcome their tribal members back into their communities as doctors, nurses, physician assistants, and healthcare workers. So here are some of the doctors that we put back into the community. And the person in the middle on the back, that's Jonathan Nez, and he is the Attorney General for the Navajo Nation. So again, these elders from the community, they come to this graduation ceremony and invite these students back into their own communities as healthcare professionals. So we really are happy with the outcomes of our labor. So in 2019, we had a record 5 Navajo students graduate from our School of Medicine. And in 2020, we had a record 10 African-American students matriculate to our School of Medicine. And this is really important to us because only 2% of our population are African-American. However, we realize that the health disparities of African-Americans are much greater. And so 6 of the 10 African-American students actually were awarded a School of Medicine scholarship. So according to the AAMC, we know that 98% of schools consider contributing to a diverse physician workforce is very important to their mission. And according to David Skorton, the president and CEO of the AAMC, the status quo is unacceptable. So we try to do as much as we can to challenge conventional thinking and really think outside the box and say, how can we support, recruit, retain, and really change the physician workforce in our state and look at our mission and really try to mirror the population and improve health in New Mexico. So that is my presentation, and I would be very open to any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ballejos, for that outstanding presentation. If people could give me an indication by raising their Zoom hand or perfect. Dr. Parkas, please.
Hey, Marlene.